Hello again. Welcome to the second week of geospatial analysis. In this module, we're going to switch gears from last week where we talked about vector data and move on to raster data. We'll start it all off by working with raster data formats. You'll learn some different ways you can store raster data other than the file geodatabase rasters you've been working with. After that, we'll learn about resampling, which is the process of changing the resolution of a raster dataset, but that can be a little destructive and you'll learn some implications of doing that. From there, we'll look at different ways you can display rasters in ArcMap, including some comparison tools and swipe tools that let you display it in the context of your other data. After that, you'll learn about extracting data from rasters using clipping and extraction tools in the Spatial Analyst toolbox. From there, we'll talk about reprojecting rasters. It's a little different than reprojecting vector data because it's a destructive process that requires important consideration. After that, we'll move into a slightly advanced raster topic called raster mosaics, which is where you take multiple raster datasets and make them act as one so that you can cover large areas with an analysis. And then finally, we'll talk a little bit about some common raster data models, some different ways that you can use raster commonly in your workflows. Moving on from there into the second half of the week, we'll learn about using rasters as surfaces and three-dimensional objects. We'll start off by discussing what a surface is and how we create them with interpolation, and then how we can interpret rasters as three-dimensional data. From there, we'll learn some foundational concepts to creating tins, which are three-dimensional structures that we can use in place of rasters and to create rasters. And then we'll work with tins in ArcMap and visualize them in 3D in a program you haven't used yet called ArcScene. And then finally, we'll learn a bit about storing z-values or 3D information in your vector data. Moving on, we'll continue with the project and consider what type of analysis can we undertake with the data that we found last week. And then we'll plan our approach for our analysis, and you'll think about that in a discussion question for next week. I think this week's really interesting, has a lot of really cool concepts. I like the 3D materials, even though we don't use it commonly in a lot of the GIS work I do, it's really interesting stuff. So let's go get started.